So we're building up to the election of 1896, which is a turning point election in the American history, but we have to get there first. And what we see is that in 1893, there's a panic. By this, we mean an economic depression. See, railroads and railroad companies have gotten so big that when a railroad collapsed or went bankrupt, it would hurt the local economy. But what happens in 1893 is several really large railroad companies collapsed, and this led to a whole banking system collapse. And when the banking system collapsed, then it led to a severe economic depression. It's going to last 4 years. Now, we think of the Great Depression as being really, really bad, and it really was, but we can see that this is a cycle in American history based on capitalism, right? Up until Roosevelt and the New Deal, there was these severe depressions every 7-8 years. And this one is going to last for 4 years. There was 20% unemployment in 1893 going into 1896 election. In 1894, President Grover Cleveland only makes the matters worse by going back to the gold standard, where they didn't have any silver in circulation. So by putting this on the gold standard, what that did was that going back to that sound money supply, which means deflation. They lowered the amount of money in circulation, which meant that crop prices went down. That meant farmers had trouble paying their bills. That meant that workers had to pay more for things. This just makes the depression worse. And because they made the depression worse, there's actually some civil unrest. People are marching in the streets. There's a guy named Coxey who made an army, protesters, right? Republicans going into the 1896 election, that was Grover Cleveland. Republicans are going to argue that the populace who wanted nationalized railroads, nationalized telegraphs, progressive income tax, right? They wanted antitrust laws to break up big monopolies. They're going to argue that the populace are trying to destroy capitalism. Stop me if you've heard this one before, when the Republicans say that the opposing party is trying to destroy capitalism and they're a bunch of socialists. The populace, for their part, stop me if you've heard this one, are going to say that the Republican policies are creating tramps and millionaires. Kind of like the idea of millionaires and billionaires controlling the economy. What we're seeing here is in 1893, up into the 1896 election, there's class warfare that's taking place between the populace, those Midwestern farmers and the working class, and the Republicans. And there's a lot of social anxiety that we're going to see kind of play out over the next couple of decades.